Welcome to the Point of Convergence podcast. I am your host, Grant Lira. Get ready to sit down, tune in, and implement. Remember, the knowledge you learn here and anywhere else in your life is only worth something to you if you use it. So get implementing after this episode and enjoy. All right, welcome back to another episode of Point of Convergence. Today, we are joined by my good friend, John Griffin, the Griff Daddy. Now, John has a lot of stuff that we're going to cover today, all the way from Symmetry Financial Group to his own agency. We're going to cover all of this on the podcast, dive in to some sales knowledge bombs. But without further ado, John, what's going on today?
Oh, man, I'm glad to be on this call, brother. Glad to share some knowledge with you and your fans, and anything I can do to pour some wisdom into some new peeps, some green peas, or maybe somebody who's not too cool for school has been doing what I've been doing for a long time. I'm glad to do it, brother.
Dude, that's why we're here, right? We're here to absorb. We're here to implement. So like, guys, looking at like guests we've had on before, John is one of those dudes who you listen to, like you listen to what he says. He's got some absolute knowledge, and you're going to realize that throughout the podcast, but I'll stop hyping him up here. I'll let him talk for himself. Like, John, people want to know, like, how did you get started in this? Like, where was your start in entrepreneurship? Where was your start in sales? Where'd that all begin?
Yeah. So I grew up in California, in Hollywood. My father was an actor in Hollywood, and he was a working character actor, and he had a really good work ethic. And I think I took my first job probably at 12. And by the time I was 15, I was actually running this guy named Lenny Hamburg, this Jewish guy in Hollywood, had a stationery business. I was running his stationery business by myself at 15 in the summer. And I enjoyed that. I enjoyed helping people. I enjoyed the customer service part of sales. And in college, I got into selling swimming pools. And I just realized I love the interaction with people. And it was an in-home sales job, straight commission. And I just crushed it. I'm 50, so I've been doing in-home sales for 31 years. I've literally been in 14,000 homes, and I've sat down with 14,000 people amongst no-shows and one legs, and done presentations. So there's nothing I haven't seen. And I've just, my dad used to say it's nice to know what to do, and it's nice to know what not to do. And I know what to do, because I've been doing it a long time, and I know what not to do, because knowing what not to do is like you do something, you do it wrong, man, I ain't gonna do that again. I've done that a lot, and I've had a lot of mentors and sales trainers over the years that have poured into me, so I learned something. I've actually trained about 3,000 salespeople in my career, so I enjoy it. I enjoy the art of selling, enjoy the art of closing. It excites me when you sit down with a client that says, "Hey, man, we're not doing anything," and I'm like, okay. And then you take them through a presentation and a trained methodology from A to Z. And at the end, it's a close. So, 31 years started selling swimming pools. And then I realized pools was seasonal. You could only make a certain amount of money in a season. And then I have made some great money. My last hurrah with pools was for the pool company in 1997. I won't mention their name. There's 7,000 salespeople there. And I was the number one salesperson in the company. I made $305,000 in 6 months. Their season was March 1st to August 30th. So I made 305. I was a young guy, a long time ago, 97. And then I quit. And I realized real fast that money will not keep you in a job. You have to like and love what you do. And I'll never forget the owner of that company. He sat me down and he said, "Man," he says, "the number 2 guy in this company made $180,000. You made over $120,000 more than him, and you're quitting? How do you quit a $305,000 job?" I said, "This job sucks." I literally ran 7 days a week, 4 appointments a day, and I never slept in my bed on an 11-state territory, and they would drive you I probably put 50,000 miles on my car I was driving that year, driving around. And some nights I slept in my car, because sometimes you're in Pobunk, Louisiana, and you pull up and the nicest motel is $19. And those cockroaches are bigger than you. And you're like, "Oh, it's better off just sleeping in my car, save the per diem money that they gave." I think they give us like $75 a day, but I quit. And I learned, man, you gotta love what you do, you gotta like what you do, and the money won't keep you there. And I know because I've had lots of careers where I've had people walk in my office and just say, man, I can't do this. Getting home at midnight, my wife's this and that. So you gotta love what you do. So I got out of the pool business, and in '98, I found that you could get in the home improvement business, which was year round, selling siding, windows, gutters, roofs, insulation. And in my career that I spent there, I had a couple $100 million companies that I worked my way up through and to a GM, to a VP of the company, and had large sales forces underneath me that I hired, trained, and recruited. And I enjoyed that. But that business, sometimes you're not in control of your income, meaning that someone can mess you flat up. Like you could sell a job and expect a $3,000 commission, and someone goes out and installs the job incorrectly, and the client don't want to pay. Well, the old saying, poop rolls downhill. It rolls downhill, and their sales commission's gone. The job gets reduced. They're trying to go negotiate the $30,000 job to get some kind of money, and the sales guy usually gets the short end of the stick. So I said, well, that ain't for me. Since then, I started my own real estate company. I started a Post magazine. I had that. Always had an entrepreneurial spirit, so got back into doing my own thing. Did that till the market crashed, and then when the market crashed, I was like, man, this there got to be something. There's got to be a better mousetrap. So I got back in the home improvement business, and I started another home improvement company, and we did a niche. Niches are kind of nice. If you have a niche and you market to one type of thing. So we had what was called an energy company. We did things like spray foam, thermal insulation, tankless water heaters, solar panels, recirculating pumps, anything that would save the client energy. And I was able to partner with a relationship with the Weather Channel, and I became the national energy expert for the Weather Channel. And they'd run these commercials on TV, and my partnership with them, they allowed me to use the commercials to market ourselves. So we went into an Ace Hardware and put a little kiosk in there, and somebody went in, they'd see a little thing. Hey, if you're interested in that, you fill this out, and little lead costs went back to the Ace Hardware, and we generated our leads through that. And that was a good gig for a while. And then until my business partner did something shady, and I just learned, man, it matters who you partner with. If you partner with a jackleg or an idiot, eventually something's going to go wrong. So we separated it, and I took a little time off. And then a buddy of mine said, man, why don't you get in the insurance business? And I was like, man, there's a lot of other things I think I would like to do. I knew some people in the insurance business, and they're always hustling and always, man, if they invite them over to the house, everybody had their business card, and and one of them had my buddy's mom's phone number because, hey, we're gonna sell some insurance. I said, I don't need that, guy. It just doesn't seem like something I would want to spend my life doing. He said, well, I know this guy makes some pretty good money. I said, well, I've made pretty good money most of my career. What's pretty good money? And he says, he makes like 6 figures a month. I'm like, what? So of course, I'm not too cool for school. I've learned a lot of things in my career, and I've learned a lot of things from other people. So I said, give me that dude's number. So I called this guy who now is my business partner for the last 4 years, partnered with him. And I learned years ago, man, if somebody has the lifestyle and the money and the time that you want to have, it's okay to follow that person. And now I am where he was, and he's way further along than I am, making a great living and building a team. And if someone would ask me 4 years ago, man, you think you'll retire from the insurance business? I would have said, hell no. Today, this is it. I've planted my flag here, and I will retire from this company for sure, Symmetry Financial Group. I got a couple other things that I do because still have that entrepreneurial spirit, and I'm all about that. But I enjoy what I do. I spend most of my time now helping somebody else get where I am. In the beginning, you start helping clients, which is I'm really good at that. And now I help agents build their own business. So it's kind of the same thing. You're still helping somebody. You're still helping a client, but I'm helping other people build wealth, and I'm making a living helping other people build wealth. Kind of old Zig Ziglar, you say, if you're helping other people get what they want, you'll get what you want. I've figured it out. It ain't about me. It ain't about how much money can I make. If I help some other people make a great living and I can get a piece of that great living, that's a great living.
And so now you've been more like transitioning into the mentorship role of like helping people out that you bring on with Symmetry and like helping them get that, it's like when you went up to that guy and you followed that guy to get that lifestyle, you're kind of taking them along that path to get the lifestyle you have now. And, obviously keeping that rolling. So when you mentor, people, I guess how much sales is really involved in that? Like, obviously you got to sell them on the idea, but then along the way, like, I mean, tell us a little bit about like your mentorship process and how everything works like that.
So it does matter who you partner with. Everybody that's watching this right now has worked somewhere at one time, and your boss was an idiot. And you ask yourself one time when you went home, how did this guy or this guy, how did they get this job? How are they making more money than me and I do half their work? How did that happen? That happens in just about every job. Even at this company, there are people in leadership that I wouldn't follow to the toilet. But that happens sometimes, that just like, man, how did that happen? It happens. So it matters who your partner is. It matters who you're partnering with and who you're yoked with. I know, because I've had some partners that were like, man, I want to punch myself in the face. Just why am I doing this? And then you part ways. So, they'll say, fail forward. Fail forward is part of life. You got to pick yourself up and dust it off. But there's only so many times you're like, hey man, I'm not doing this again. I've learned my lesson. There's there's all mans that, oh man, like a fender bender on man. There's an all man where like you're like totally wiped out and you're filing a bankruptcy for $2 million. So there's all mans that can come in your lifetimes, and it matters who your partner is. So here, right out of the gate, I learned that you can make $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a month on your own pen, meaning you don't have to have a team. You can just come in here if you have the wherewithal and intestinal fortitude, that little thing down your stomach that says, man, I want to win. And you follow a system. This company has a proven system. Every great sales company has a methodology. And all I've done is bring my 30 years of sales experience to this methodology and didn't try to reinvent the wheel, because that's foolish. It took something that already worked. Again, this is a niche insurance company, and I've meshed my sales training with it. And I crushed it. Here's a great example. Hired a guy a couple weeks ago. Everybody got to get a license, right? Everybody got a license. And some people take 3 months to get a license. You can pretty much tell right out of the gate when someone's going through the pre-license course what they're going to do after they have a license. If it takes someone 3 months to start, you don't spend any time with that person, because they're not going to go nowhere. Hired a guy about 3 weeks ago. In 3 days, he's done with this course, knocked it out. Then he does all the training, which is all online training. He's in North Carolina, I'm in Atlanta. And his first week's 23. Never sold insurance before. All he knows is what I taught him. He goes out and makes $4,100. Just crushed it. He's never made $4,100. Yeah. $4,100 in a week in his lifetime. But here's the difference. I got guys will come in here, or gals will come in here, and they'll learn it, and they'll do it, and they'll do it just like that. And then, man, this system's not, someone who's been selling for 30 years. And, we did it like this with ABC, and we did like, this system's not, man, these leads suck. This company sucks. My manager sucks. No, you suck. And time, you're going to suck here, and you're going to suck wherever you go when you leave here. But nice knowing you. Don't let the door hit you, or the good Lord split you. I'm going to spend time with that person. So you help those that you can help, and the ones that want to follow the system, and you help them. This guy, in his first week, he had already teed up 4 people. I hired him, recruited them. They're in pre-license course. One of them just took his test today. He's only been here like a week and a half. Just middle of the week. He's been here literally 10 days. He's got 4 agents. So I'm helping him build his team, and he understands it and he gets it. Some people, some people want to play ball, and some people want to, sit on the bench and cheer. Some people make a lot of money, and some people know people that make a lot of money. You can, this company that I'm in here is a vehicle to make a lot of money. And when I put somebody in the driver's seat, I will teach them how to drive it. I will show them how to drive it. There are times that I get in the driver's seat with them, and on a Zoom call like this, I got an agent. I got agents all over the country, but I'll get on a Zoom call like this with our clients, because we see everybody on a Zoom call now, which is kind of nice. You know, COVID, we're one of those businesses where COVID made our business better.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
could imagine.
we used to go in the house and knock on the door. Hey, John and Mary, and go in the house and sit at the kitchen table and do a presentation. Now our presentation is just like this. We literally call somebody up, we pick up the phone, we're talking to them on a Zoom call like this, and this is it. And you fist bump to the camera. Hey, man, nice. Thanks so much. You do a little DocuSign, send them a thing, a DocuSign back, and I enjoy helping people, enjoy helping the client. I enjoy the art of the close. It's a niche market. So, you know, we're not chasing a client. That's important. You know, leads equal sales equal profit. It matters where your leads are coming from. You know, the typical insurance business, man, you're always chasing the lead. You're calling people. You're just trying to sell your mama insurance, and you're trying to find 3 of your mama's friends, and then your cousin, your Aunt Bill, Aunt Bill. I mean, that actually probably happens. Your Aunt Sally, your Uncle Bill. You're selling somebody something, and then you're trying to get referrals. We don't do that. We don't do that here. We actually have clients that fill out a card, mail it in, and say, please help me. So we're calling it a pretty warm lead. That matters. I mean, I remember years ago when I worked for a company and we sold spray foam, and a lead, I mean, there was TV, radio, billboards, yard signs, home shows, anything, any kind of lead.
Old school.
Old school.
Yeah.
And here was a unique lead. You go to a home show, and there's an 80-inch screen up there, an 80-inch flat screen TV, and they say, sign up to win the big flat screen TV. Well, everybody at the home show signs up for that joker, and nobody wins. Everybody wins a free presentation for spray foam. So you have to convert that rumor into an appointment. So you call, hey, John, Mary, I'm John. I'm the guy that's going to be doing your spray foam. Did we win the TV? Oh, no, but I'll have to stop by tomorrow at 8 o'clock. And you take somebody up in the attic. This requires a closer. And you walk around their attic, and up there's 2 black widows, a dead bat, and a rat. And you go point out some things, come back down the kitchen table, you do a 3-hour presentation from like 8 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and you roll out a price of like $35,000, and you go, right. And they're like, do we win the TV? Yeah, that requires a closer. Yeah, you better have some mojo up your sleeve, you know, and to close that deal. And I made a great living doing that. Not just, I mean, this is a good. Find a place that you like and love, and plant your flag there. That's just it, man. So yeah.
And so within that now too, you've had, you know, well over 30 years of sales experience, big chunk of that being door-to-door sales. And now we talked briefly about like transitioning into Zoom. So what's been your biggest takeaways, your biggest like things you've had to adapt to, or things that have stayed consistent from your in-person sales experience, your door-to-door stuff now to the digital, like virtual e-meeting, e-fist bump, all that stuff?
Man,
What's that been
that's
like?
a great question. So life is about adapting. It's, you know, you have to learn. After you've been in 14,000 houses, there's nothing I haven't seen. So I even told my wife, I said, man, I'm gonna have to learn some new stuff. And if you're an old dog and you're afraid to learn a new trick, retire. You can't be, you know, if you want to still have a great career in sales, you can't be afraid to learn a new trick. So I said, well, okay. So, you know, all you do is you sit down and man, nothing. I enjoy it. I mean, here's a great example. Call a guy like, I don't know, like right when COVID hit. This guy's out in LA, you know, because you can, now the borders are down. You can sell anywhere in the country from your living room or your home office. You can wear pants or not wear pants. You can't tell on this call that I don't have pants on, but I do. But I mean, you're like, hey, John and Mary, how you doing here? And you're sitting here just having a call. It's a challenge to warm up a little bit because all you can see is what's behind them. So you have to ask open-ended questions. You know, the old saying, never ask a question you don't know the answer to, but you have to ask to get them to start talking about it. You can't ask yes or no questions. You have to have open-ended questions to get that client to start responding about things, to warm up. It's a little different. You can't see the bowling trophies, or you can't see the kids or the dog or the cat or something, the goldfish or something. You can warm up that client and create an infiltration. So you have some challenges with that. And people sometimes, a lot of times, you know, you're talking to them and you see their eyes do this, and then they look back at you and their eyes do this, and you have to just stop talking. Hey, Grant, hey, you got the TV on? Oh, you do? Hey, would you mind just for about 15 minutes, could you just cut that off? Not the sound, but just cut it off. You have to have the cojones to he who has control or she who has control in the beginning has control at the end. If you don't have control at the beginning, Why spend 15, 20 or an hour with somebody when you don't have control? There's 3 levels of listening, first, second, third. If you don't have them on the 3rd level listening, you are wasting your time. So you got to slow down, pay attention, be a good listener. God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth. So you do twice as much listening, half as much talking. And so you got to ask these questions and open up. So it has been a challenge, but man, I had a client the other day. It was like this 80-year-old guy. I get him on a Zoom call like this, and I'm looking at him. He doesn't have a gray hair in his head. His hair's all dyed. So I'm like, "What's up, player?" He goes, "What's up, player?" I said, "I'm looking at your little lead sheet here, man." He says you want $150,000 insurance policy. He goes, "Yep." I'm like, you should have bought this about 20 years ago. You're 80, bro. I'm like, "How's your health?" He goes, "Well, my health's great, man." He said, I take one medication." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Like, what do you take? He said, "Well, I take Viagra." Well, of course you do. Don't be ridiculous. I said, no heart attack, no stroke, no cancer. No. So if you mind me asking, what do you need a $150,000 insurance policy for? He said, "Well, I got me a girlfriend." I said, "Well, of course you do, Mr. Bagger." "Okay, well, you must be younger, huh?" He said, "Oh, yeah, she's 45. He's 80. I said, "Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, cool." I said, "Okay." I said, "Well, you never want to put somebody in a position where you hurt them. Just don't honor that. God don't honor doing something and hurting somebody." So before I put this deal together with this guy, because I know it's going to be expensive, I said, "How you going to pay for this?" He said, "Well, I'm a doctor. I've been a doctor since I was 29. I still have my practice." He said, "I still work about 60 hours a week." I'm like, "Oh, you still working?" "Oh, yeah. So I got this girl. I met her online and flew her over here. And, if something happens to me, I want to make sure she got some money. She want to be she's taken care of." I'm going, so I figured the whole thing up. It's like $1,900 a month. So you do a presentation, you roll the price out, and he looks at it and he goes, "All right, I'll take it." "Well, of course you will." So he's typing away here and push a little DocuSign and sends it over to him. We do a fist pump. He fist pumps the camera, 80-year-old guy, and I make $15,000. And I did not have my pants on. Man, my point is all the years I've been in sales, and I've made commissions like that on selling big $80,000 pools and, in big jobs. I've made some never from my house, never from where when I got done, I got up and went pee in my bathroom instead of stopping off at Chick-fil-A or McDonald's on the way home. And then we're sitting in traffic going, "Oh, God," at 11 o'clock at night because there's an accident on the main highway. Oh, this gig has gotten better, and for people out there that are looking for something better, man, there's COVID has made some sales gigs better. Go find one. If you're in a sales job and it got tougher thanks to COVID, find another home. Yep, that's for sure.
That's a great point. And some really, really cool insight that you said within that last question there was something that you really couldn't know unless you've done in-person sales for long enough. Like you said, talking to the dog, or not talking to the dog, talking about their dog, looking at bowling trophies, seeing fishing pictures on their walls, stuff like that. Like people who have never really sold in person, I think might not even think about that stuff, right? So having people who have just been selling through Zoom their entire career, maybe right out of college, something like that warm up and having that discussion, asking those open-ended questions to try to break throughs. Because like you said, I can't see what's on your desk right now. I can see if you have pictures, anything like that. That's huge. That's huge for building that rapport. But also, John, now, how long are you spending on that time? How long are you spending on the warm-up?
That's a great question. So here's what I learned years ago. People buy people. If they like you and they trust you, they're going to buy from you. You don't know what their last experience was with a salesperson before you. It might have been awful. Might have been awful the last couple of times. And you're that jerk off until you prove that you're not. People buy, people like and trust. So you have to build a rapport. Now, sometimes you don't get the guy that don't want to talk to you. You don't get that engineer, or you don't get that calculus teacher, or that you're going to get that CPA. "Hey, man, let's just get to it." So it's okay. It's okay to get to it, but you have to come back to warm up. Warm up takes as long as it takes. Well, how long is that? There's no time. No, I've warmed up with somebody for an hour. It's important to take your time warming up a client. I can take it. I've been in thousands of houses, and I've been in thousands of houses with green salespeople, guys that couldn't close the trunk of a car. And you take them in a house, and their presentation is awful. It's like this, right? But their warm up's like 45 minutes, and the client loves them, and then they present, and you're like, they're not gonna buy that. They didn't. They bought the person they met 45 minutes ago. They go, well, the price worked. They said, well, that's about what we thought it was going to be. And we really like you, and they buy from them. And you're walking out of the house going, wow, that is a warm up. People buy from people they like. If they like them, and they trust them, and there's already a need there, or you created the need in your warm up, they're going to buy from you. And I know because I've seen it happen many times where a green salesperson made a sale because they had a really, really, really good warm up. So it's important to, and warm ups, there's a thing I've learned years ago from a guy named Ben Gay, who wrote the book, The Closers. It's called infiltration, where you sit down with somebody and you talk to them and you're not going to start off with, something like, Mr. Griffin, hey, do you mind if I call you John? What do your friends call you? Well, my friends call me JG. Okay, cool. Can I call you JG? Yeah. Okay, cool. Hey, my name is Bill. All my friends call me Bill. So let's do that. So what I just did in about a nanosecond, I said, well, what do your friends call you? My friends call me JG. Oh, okay. Would you mind if I called you JG? Yeah, cool. Well, my friends call me Bill. Call me Bill. Okay, cool. And you got to say your name at least 3 times during the course of your warm up, and probably another 2 times in your presentation. And the way you do that is you tell third-party story. My wife sometimes will say, "Hey, John, let get it," and just and you have to say your name, so your client eventually will say, "Hey, Grant, let me ask you a question." Nothing sucks worse than you go through your presentation and you get to the end and you roll your price down. The client looks at the price, they're looking at you, and they go, "I'm sorry, what's your name again?" You might as well pack your crap and head on out, because you did not make any impression on that client. They are not buying from someone they don't know and they don't like. They'll say stuff like, "Well, you're a really good salesperson. We really enjoyed your presentation. You got a business card on you? We're gonna call you. We'll get back to you." When I do a presentation, I overcome objections before I get them. I learned how to do that years ago, because objections in sales in my 30-year career have never changed. I got to think about it. I got to pray about it. We don't make any decisions. We got to talk to our mommy. Got to talk to our daddy. We got to talk to our financial advisor. We never made a decision the first time out. We're going to shop around. We're going to get 3 estimates, and then we're going to do it. They're all the same. So why don't you overcome them before you get them? Salespeople go through a presentation, they get to the end, they spend all their time trying to close. A master closer takes his time and overcomes those things in the course of the presentation. And when you get to the end, it looks like a lay down. You roll the price out and they go, "All right, well, let's do it, Grant. Sign me up." And the other person going, "Man, that was an easy one." No, that was a closer. That guy or gal knew exactly what they're doing through the course of their presentation. They asked the right questions. They use some things like power linguistics. A lot of my sharp clients, Grant, just like you, let me show you what they do. We're going to do that. We take the horse by the bit, and they go right there. A lot of my sharp clients, Grant, just like you, let me show you what they do. And that's what we're going to do together today. So it's a power linguistics. It's, if they don't do it, they're not one of your sharp clients. A lot of my sharp clients, just like you, let me show you what they do. You take them right there. And it's I can do it in my sleep, and I teach it, and there's a lot more to it. A lot of it's kinesiology, left brain, right brain. Like when someone fires off an objection, here's a good one. If someone fires off an objection, their left brain, they go, you ask them to buy, and the client goes, "Well, we're gonna have to talk to our financial advisor." You don't do this out loud because you just look like a weirdo, but you literally go 1,001, 1,002. 1,003, 1,004, 5 seconds. You can't do it in your head. You don't see anything. It'll seem like 5 minutes, it's 5 seconds. Then you look at your client, you validate their objection. So you want to talk to your financial advisor. Okay, let me tell you a story. And you tell a story. Story takes the left brain back to right brain. I had a client one time, it was when I talked to his financial advisor, and you tell a story. And it takes him right back to right brain. Then you ask him to buy again. I was with a trainee one time, went through a presentation and closed it and walked out of the house. And he said, "Man," he says, "you know how many times that guy told you no?" I said, "Nope." And he had a piece of paper and he had marked down, and there was like check, 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 check. It was 19 times. He was like, "I told you no 19 times." No doesn't mean no. No means I don't have enough information yet. to tell you yes. When the client says no, it means I-K-N-O-W. I don't know enough to do this yet. Not no. I don't K-N-O. I don't know. You haven't given me enough information for me to say yes. It is our job as a closer to take that client through enough information so they go, oh, I understand now. And now you buy. Yeah.
Isn't that funny? Because like you see so many people who are maybe just getting into sales or like they're young in their business, but they sell like on the features, right? They sell like on what makes them great. They sell on like what it can do for the person. Maybe if they're like a little more advanced, so like benefits, stuff like that. But almost all that scripting, almost all of that like song and dance they do, they ask for the sale. And then in their mind, they're already like, okay, now it's objection time. Like now it's time for me to overcome objections. But if you already know your industry pretty well, or if you just know like what people object to about your offer the most, why not add a slide? Why not add a bullet point? Why not add something that takes care, addresses that objection up front within the presentation when you still have the spotlight on you and you say something, tell a story, whatever the case is, then there you go. Come close. That's one objection you just took away. If you do that for 3, 4, 5 of the most common ones, I mean, then it's going to be super frictionless on that close. And in addition to that too, like you said, that left brain, right brain, like getting people out of that, because, you know, people buy on emotion and then they justify it with logic, obviously. So like getting somebody out of that left brain state, getting them back in the right brain, because at the end of the day, you know that what you have helps people. You know, it makes them money. You know, it protects their family. It's different for at each industry, right? You know that, and you know it works. They just aren't certain enough. They don't trust something about you until you can lock everything like that down, get that really tight case built for yourself, your company, your product, and then there you go. You're out the door. So,
well, it's a belief system. You have to believe in your product. You have to believe in your company before you can get your client to believe in it. There is a transfer of belief, meaning if watch this, if you like, well, a lot of and you sound unsure of yourself because you are unsure of yourself, you better get sure of yourself real fast, because timid salespeople have skinny kids, and you will, just like we can read people, your client can read you. They can go, man, the guy seems kind of a little, unsure of himself. You're not, and you know that old saying where people say, "Oh man, this guy can sell ice with Eskimo." I mean that's not a closer. That's a con artist. You know, you have to have something that you believe in, and you know, man, this is actually helping my client. And when you have that heart and that passion about it, that drive, they're going to buy if there's a need there for it. And you have to be able to sometimes knows the answer. Sometimes you sit down with a client, they just can't do it. Man, shame on you if you put that 78-year-old widow into a car, a siding job, something, a second Kirby vacuum cleaner. If you sell her something she can't afford and it's going to mess her up, shame on you. That's some bad mood you right there. That junk will follow you around. You will step and poop every time you step outside. Someone's going to mess you up. So don't do that. You help people. You know, Zig Ziglar used to say, if you help enough other people get what they want, you'll get what you want. Man, just care about people. Care goes a long way. When your client realizes that ain't about how much money you make. Those guys that sit in their car and they go, oh man, if I sell it for this, I can make this. You will probably do okay somewhere, but you're never going to be amazing. It ain't about you. It's about your client. It's about you. Whatever you're selling, whatever your wares are. And I know because I've hired and trained thousands of salespeople. And, you know, if someone walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, I go, hey, you're a duck. Take your ducky self somewhere else. So, yeah, it's about just treating your client right, doing the right thing. You know, there's a lot of people out there trying to sell stuff that it shouldn't be in sales.
Yeah. And yeah, talking about that conviction and that certainty in yourself and your business, right? Like when we started the company, speaking from experience, we didn't close anyone, right? First close ever. Like was hard to convey that I was confident, because truly deep down, I wasn't. Like, I didn't know if what we had was going to work. Like, it's never been tested. Sure, on paper, it works great, but we've never actually used it in practice. So had my first close, brought that person on. Long story short, a few months down the road, in that initial call, he told me, he said, Grant, one of the reasons I want to do this is because I live in a not great neighborhood right now. I'm a single father. I want to raise my kids somewhere better. So that was like one of our goals we worked towards. And I got a text from him on my phone one day, and he's like, "Hey, Grant, I just want to thank you." Sent me a picture of his new house. He goes, "It's a much nicer neighborhood. Got my kids out of that spot." And that point, just that text message, was such a pivotal transformation for me within my certainty about what we do. And I mean, ever since then, like, I've had this unbreakable conviction that what we do helps people. What we do makes people's lives change forever.
Amen.
So like, seeing that in real time and seeing that,
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. That's what it's about.
It is what it's about. You changed somebody's life forever, and you did it with your company and the wear that you sell. Man, people just want to know you care. I remember I went to a lady's house one time, and I've been to a lot of homes, 14,000. And she said, her grass is about 2 feet high. She said, "Look, buddy," she goes, you're not coming in the house. We're going to have to sit outside here on the stoop." She sat down on the stoop, and she said, "Just sit down, sit down." She's trying to, and I'm sitting down on the stoop with her, and I'm talking to her. We're outside, it's hotter, and you know what, outside, and I'm just talking to her. And I said, "Well, I got to get in the house," because I knew she wanted all this whole big siding, windows, gutters, big. I mean, it's going to be like a big job. It could have been six-figure job. And she was just adamant. So part of selling sometimes is having some empathy. There's a difference between sympathy and empathy. Here's the difference. If you're driving down the road and you come to a stop sign and you hear somebody screaming, "Help, help, help, help," and you get out of your car and there's a guy down a hole. Imagine this guy in a hole. You go, "Hey, man, help me." The sympathetic person says, "Hey, bud, hey, Grant, stay right there, man. I'm gonna get my car and get some help." They get the car and drive off. The empathetic person, which you have to be empathetic, so jumps down in the hole, puts their arm around the client, says, "Hey, man, Grant, I'm going to stay here with you till help comes, but it's just you and me, buddy." And sometimes you have to be empathetic with your client. So I sat down with her and you lower your voice, I said, let's just say her name's Mary. I've been in a lot of houses. I don't know what's going on in your house, but it's really hot out here. And the best way for me to help you is to go in the house and sit down. I have a lot of stuff to show you. I got to sit my stuff out. And it's okay. It's okay for your house. If you got a lot going on, it's okay. I just want to help you today. So we're going to go on in the house, and I'm going to sit my stuff up on the kitchen table. And I got up. I started walking towards the door. She sat on the stoop. She got up. She walked to the door. She opened the door and walked in the house. Her house looked like a tornado blew through it. I didn't see it. The carpet was ripped up, rolled up. The wood floors were just laying there. The carpet was rolled up. All her furniture was piled. Literally, it was touching the ceiling. And I didn't act like I didn't see it. I went right to the kitchen table. I moved some stuff out of the way. She had stuff on her kitchen table that was like a year old, being a male. And I said, "Oh, this is perfect. Yeah, this is perfect." And I sat my stuff down. I started going through the presentation. I don't know, probably like an hour and a half into my presentation. I'm watching her because you've got to pay attention. And little tears welled up in her eye. And she says, "You know what? Did you see that bed over there?" And there's a bunch of crap piled up on this bed. There's a bed literally in the living room. It was like a hospital bed. I said, "Yeah." She says, my husband died in that bed last year. She goes, "He had cancer. He was a police officer and he got cancer." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And she said, "I know you're probably wondering what's going on in my house right here because it's a mess." My son graduated from high school last year. He was a senior. And all his friends came over for a party, and everybody wanted to see my husband's revolver. So I thought it was unloaded, and we took it out. And one of the kids went to grab it, and it dropped, and it fell on the floor. It shot my son right here, and he died right there. And the coroner came in, they rolled the carpet up and took my son out. And this has been a rough. She says, "You're the only person that's been in my house other than my church family." I had 2 salespeople out here already. And I told them they couldn't come in the house. One guy got really mad at me, and he did a burnout in my driveway and just drove off, and just dust and smoke everywhere. And the other guy took his business card out, and he wrote a price on the back of the business card, and he flicked it at me like a cigarette butt. She said, "You're the only person that's just really been nice." And she goes, "I don't know what this is going to cost." She goes, "I have no idea. but I know I'm going to do it. I trust you. So I know you're going to take good care of me. So I just want you to know right now, you just tell me what's going to cost. And I have a lot of money from the insurance. I've been wanting to remodel this house, and I've been wanting to do all this stuff. It was an $85,000 sale. And she told me she was going to buy it before I even priced it out. And she did. Now, I didn't cut my presentation short, but it started on the porch when she said, "You're not coming in my house. There's just no way. If you can't give me a price outside, you can just forget it." Because she already had 2 bad experiences with 2 idiots. And I took my time. I cared about that client. I went on in her house, and I took my time and I helped her. And I made a pretty good lick on that job. It was a nice commission, probably about 10 grand. I was a kid. I was like in my 20s. People just want to know you care. I don't care what you're selling. People just want to know you care. And if you don't, you know what? If you don't care, you don't care about people. If you don't love people and love helping people, then go work at McDonald's. They're looking for closers. When you drive through the drive-through and you can say, "Would you like fries with that?" You can be that closer. That you don't have to care about that person because you're not putting the fries in their bag anyways.
Absolutely. And John, I mean, that's it, full circle to what we talked about at the beginning of this podcast, right? You said you don't know what experiences people have had with salespeople before you. So like that story right there just absolutely embodied that too. Like if someone's a little standoffish with you because you are a salesperson, it's most likely for a reason. They've had bad experiences. And I think we might have even talked about this, but addressing that maybe or just being like as human as possible really dissolves a lot of that distrust, a lot of that awkwardness, or just like asking, "Hey, if we can we step out of this for a second? Like, I just want to make sure everything's okay here. I feel a little bit of like hostility. Is everything okay?" Something like that too. Like just calling it out or just kind of, jumping in the hole next to the person. I love that analogy.
You can read somebody, they can read you, and it's okay to do that. You just kind of time it out for a second. I just lean in a little voice and say, "Grant, I'm sensing you may have had a bad experience before with a salesperson. So let's just make a deal right now. Here's the deal. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to tell you how this thing works. I'm going to tell you what it costs. And if it makes sense to you, well, then you're welcome to buy it. And if it doesn't, hey, man, no problem. Just let me get through this. And I just want to help you. I think you need this. You've told me you did. And I'm pretty sure it's going to fit into your budget. And if you will just give me a few minutes to kind of show it to you. And if it doesn't, man, it's okay. It's okay." And you take that pressure off them so they don't feel pressured. And then you help them.
Rock and roll. And John, we're going to wrap everything up here, brother. Before we do, last question I got for you. Okay. This is a big one. So looking forward, or rather looking backwards to when you were like, not brand new in sales, but you were just like starting to close. You were just like really sinking your teeth in, kind of falling in love with sales. Today, if you could go back in time and talk to that John, what advice would you give him? What would you tell him? What would you want him to know?
Let me tell you something. My first 2 years in sales, I couldn't tell you what was on the radio. I couldn't tell you what was on TV. I didn't watch TV, and I didn't listen to radio. I invested in myself. I knew right out of the gate when I could make 6 figures at 19 selling swim pools. I said, man, if I get really good at this, I can make more money than that than I do now. There's lots of careers like this one. You can make 6 figures a month or more. So I spent money on investing with different types of sales pros, guys that I wanted to emulate, and I learned stuff. It's good to know a lot of closes, and it's good to learn a lot of stuff, and then never be too cool for school. Always be a student, even at your craft. When you see a young Padawan and you think you're the Jedi Master, and somebody does something, man, I'll write stuff down. I'll get a pen out. I'll write things down. I pay attention. And then I've over the years I've formulated close. If I could go back and I would just tell that 19-year-old John Griffin, I say, hey man, here's what it was. I surrounded myself with a bunch of closers. Here's the difference between salespeople and closers. Sales guys probably closing 30, 35%. Closers are getting 78%. I've been closing like in the mid 80s to low 90s for 4 years now, and for the last 20 years, over 70%. It's a craft. So I would tell that young guy, I said, man, surround yourself with a bunch of closers and learn some things. Now you're going to see somebody do something that's, everybody has an intuition, or you can call it Holy Spirit or whatever. You see someone do something shady, man, that is not, man, if it's going to hurt somebody, don't do it. Don't do something that's going to hurt somebody. Help people. If it's, man, this is, don't. Just, sometimes no is the answer. If you're sitting down with, like I said earlier, a 78-year-old lady, man, don't hurt somebody. Man, if you help them, and sometimes help them saying, hey, man, it's not your budget. That's okay. I would go back to that 19-year-old guy. I said, man, surround yourself with a bunch of closers, learn what to do, learn what not to do, and do right. And always do right. You do right, and you'll be blessed. That's for sure.
That's awesome, John. And where can we get in touch with you? Where can we find more about you? How can we get in contact?
Man, if somebody wants to reach me, they can text me. I'm that guy. 678-977-0564. They can email me at John Griffin, JOHNGRIFFIN71 I'm always hiring.
There we go. Look at that. Give him a text, send him an email. He's going to get back to you, and you guys are going to make a lot of money together. So, John, awesome seeing you today, brother. Always good. And I think that's going to be a wrap.
Hey, Grant, always a pleasure, my friend.
Rock on.